Hi everybody, we're here today with a girl band, Thalia's Grace. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're good.
Two of you are missing.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Reese has got the flu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're very ill.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not come back from her hometown yet. She's still in Bradford.
So do you guys live in different places?
It's funny actually. Me, Gracie and Katie are all from the same part of West Yorkshire, Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know Gracie or Katie before.
Whereas Katie and I went to school together,
Yeah.
so we knew each other there. But we didn't think we'd end up in a band.
Okay.
And then Reese is from Liverpool.
How the band happened? When did it start?
Me and Katie
Mm-hmm.
study English as well as music in
Mhm.
Liverpool.
So you're studying two subjects at the same time?
Yeah, we're doing a joint
Wow.
honours degree. But
That's tough.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't realise that like either of us did music until we got chatting when we were doing the module together. And she was like, "Oh, do you want to come to a practice room and like do some like jamming and stuff?" And she was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, should I bring Gracie along?" And we were like, "Yeah." And then Reese,
Joined about a year later.
yeah, just before our first headline.
How did you come up with the band name? How do you come up with the band
Yeah.
Katie's really the expert on this
Yeah,
one.
definitely.
Because she's the one that is quite into like Greek mythology, which is where
Okay.
the name centres from.
name? Okay.
But I think the idea of us as a band, we sort of embody, or we want to embody femininity.
Okay.
So we wanted to sort of choose something that was inherently feminine and like a celebration of the female form.
What does it mean?
Thalia is the Greek god of femininity and also comedy.
Wow.
And grace, we just wanted grace in there somewhere. There's actually a Thalia grace and a Thalia's grace in Greek mythology, so sometimes it gets mixed up. But yeah, we're Thalia's grace.
As an artist or whatever career you want to follow in your life, there is a point that you show some interest as a child, and when you grow up, you show more interest, you explore it more. In this case, obviously, you play with instruments and stuff like that. You start singing. But sometimes there is a turning point that you decide that, oh, this is something that I really want to do. Like you go to a show or something happened personally in your life or whatever happens. Or sometimes it's a gradual thing. Sometimes you grow into it. How did it happen for you guys?
For me, I didn't really get into music until I was like 16, playing instruments. I started with the piano, tried the guitar and was like, no, that's not for me. And then went
Was
back.
it because of a finger thing?
Yeah, I was just like playing with the strings. I'm like, no, that's not for me. And then I went back to it. And then, yeah, I didn't start singing until uni.
What about yourself?
For me, my mum was always a big fan of like bands and artists. I used to I went to Leeds Festival when I was 4 years old.
Oh, all right.
Which was, we saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was a really important experience for me to have. I started playing drums when I was 7. So I've been playing for 13 years.
Wow.
But I didn't fully commit to it until I was choosing my GCSEs. And I just thought, what do I want to do when I'm older? And music just seemed like a fun like.
So what are your roles in the band? You're a drum player
I'm the lead singer and the
Lead singer.
rhythm guitarist.
and the other two are guitarists.
Katie's the lead guitarist
Okay.
and Reese plays bass.
Okay. I know that you play obviously an instrument, but do you play an instrument yourself?
Yeah, I play guitar.
Obviously for an instrument player, you're an instrument player, it's pretty obvious. But do you think in general it's important to play an instrument to be an artist, to be in the music industry?
I think it provides you with loads of
Yeah.
skills that you can take to all sorts of different areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I currently work with a programme called In Harmony,
Mm-hmm.
which is teaching children in Anfield and Everton to play classical instruments. And it's really interesting to sort of see their progression and see how important it is to them to get access to instruments. So I would say that, yeah, it's a really valuable skill, and if you can learn it, then...
Where is happening that? Is it like a charity organization?
It's with the Philharmonic in
Okay.
Liverpool, and yeah, there's a programme that's in various primary schools.
I'm going to put the link down below in the description, and make sure you go click on it and support them. Yeah. What's your vision for the Thalia's Grace?
Take over the world. Absolutely.
Well, when we've graduated, we're all aiming to stay in Liverpool.
Okay.
And just see where it takes us, really. I think this is a big passion for everyone in the band, and we just want to see it go as far as it can.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important to study to be a musician?
I think with studying, it kind of puts the parts you might already have together, I'd say. Because I don't think I'd be like where I am without uni,
Right.
definitely, because especially with like there's a performance module at our university, and that it tries to put you in the position of a professional band. But what's interesting is being in a professional band versus doing that module, you kind of see the differences. But the module was like important to like help facilitate you playing music, and like the uni has the spaces to let you practice and record and like release music. We've done both of our releases in university spaces. With university equipment. So
And university peers. Which is important because you meet so many people, you know, we know so many people that are going to go on to be producers, and you know, they'll work in the industry, promotion companies, composers, arrangers, all sorts, and I think that's really interesting. For me, I think that it's really helped my knowledge of the music industry. I wouldn't have a clue what was going on, I don't think, without the modules that teach you about the industry.
Few of the elements that really helps when you're studying in university is, as you said, one of them is networking. You're just talking to others, and you know all these people, one day they're going to be producers, singers, songwriters, so it's even good to keep in touch with them, because down the line you might need like a producer, you might need an instrument player, or you might need a songwriter. Tell me about the reaction of your families and parents when you started showing interest to music.
My family, my nan, she loves music. She was a musician herself in her prime. So I think they expected it in a way, because music's always been quite a big thing in my family. I think it's similar for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big, like, my family loves music. None of them could play an instrument, mind you. But they all love music. My mum was always supportive through my choices. You know, there's always going to be a few people in your family that are going to say, really? You're going to do that? But you just say, yeah, I am.
How does it feel like being a drum player? Like, I think being like one of the few gotta make you feel really good.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. It definitely feels like sort of I'm proud to be a female drummer in particular. But it is, you know, you sometimes get comments like, oh, you're really good for a girl, or
you're good for a girl.
Yeah.
Really? Was that a comment?
Yeah, I've had that
loads of times. I used to that.
But you know, I used to be in a drum ensemble, and it was me and two other females in the ensemble, and it just felt really empowering to sort of be in front of other women and be like, look, you can do this as well. And I've had some females come up to me after gigs or anything and say like, I love what you're doing, and like, you've inspired me to start learning to play. And that is the thing that feels really, really good, because a lot of girls or women don't feel like they can play drums because it's like a masculine thing, but it's not at all, is it? It's an instrument.
It's not really about being a female or being a male. If you really want to do it, you can go and learn it. It's not really related to the sex. Tell me about social media and what do you do in terms of promoting yourself?
When it comes to releases, we make a release plan before we post. So what we're posting is pre-planned.
Yeah, so
Usually.
you don't have to think on the day,
Yeah.
oh no, what am I going to post?
Yeah.
What am I going to say with this post?
Mm.
Which definitely helps. If it's planned ahead, I mean, this is my philosophy for life, really. If it's planned ahead, it should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of gigging, when we first started, we would reach out to like every promoter we could on Instagram being like, please give us a gig. But to anyone who's starting out, I'd say it's definitely good to have an email.
Mhm.
So because promoters tend to prefer to reach out to you via email rather than Instagram. If we get a gig offer, they normally ask what our email is to offer it to our email.
Mm.
So I'd say that's quite a big thing. TikTok as well.
Mhm.
That's definitely like been quite a big thing lately. And I think
Yeah,
it's
massive.
similar for quite a lot of other bands in our
So how do you
position.
manage? Because especially as a band,
Mm.
it's not like it's a solo artist that you just start recording. You have to have at least like a few of you. I don't know, how do you do? Tell me, how do you do it?
We tend to record content in rehearsals or when we're all
Okay.
together. Because we're all friends as well, we do spend quite a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
And we, rehearse quite regularly, so there's time to sort of make that content. TikTok in particular, sometimes you have, as the lead singer, sometimes you have like things that you'll do on your own to put out there, because although I think like the roles are quite even, you are kind of like the face of the front person. Do you know what I mean? Just because like you sing.
Yeah.
So we don't always have to be together to make this content and stuff,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it's definitely preferable. And we have a lot of friends around us that will take photos and stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, and you and Katie live together, don't you? So
Yeah, that's
that makes
really
stuff
helpful.
quite easy.
So who does manage the social media platform?
We all do it.
Okay.
We kind of delegate tasks.
Yeah.
Like you often take like DMs on Instagram, for example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take like Spotify admin or something.
Okay, so divided that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Our strengths kind of lend themselves to it, because with like Spotify and stuff, I'm not. I'm better at like with the Instagram and stuff, and like, yeah.
Talking about social media, do you feel any kind of pressure that you have to look in certain way, say certain things, or behave in certain way?
To some extent, I'd say, but we'd never. I don't think we'd do anything which would challenge like us and our authenticity. I'd say.
Like, yeah. No. We don't post anything that we feel like isn't really what we'd actually want to say.
Yeah.
Which I think is important to try and keep your sanity on platforms like that. In terms of branding, obviously, like a lot of bands have an image that they put forward, and I think that applies to us as well.
Definitely.
But it's nothing that we don't really embody in our lives in general.
I would say it takes a lot of mental strength to be exposed to it, but at the same time being able to say no.
I think we don't get that many challenges at the level we're at, especially, but we did get a hate comment once on TikTok. We
Hate
did. A hate
What kind of comment was it?
It was like a Guess the Drummer video, and someone said, hopefully none of them, and I was like, but it's just one of those things that you like laugh at. Obviously, if we were getting hundreds, that would be massively hard to manage, but
Okay.
it was just one person.
How many songs have you released?
3.
In what period of time?
2 years.
Because with the social media, Google, YouTube, you know that it's an algorithm, right? The more of you exist out there, the more reach you would be able to have. So if you have a chance to choose between quality and quantity, let's say one really good quality song per year or an album a year, but in terms of quality, that album might not be that great, but it's obviously the message that you want to deliver to your audience. Which one would you pick and why?
Quality.
I'm always going quality.
Quality.
How do you say, okay, this is enough? Like, this is enough time on one song.
I don't think we tend to delegate it by time, do we? I think something can always be better, but it's like chasing the end of a rainbow.
Yeah.
You're never going to be 100% happy with yourself. But I think with our latest single, there was like a spark moment where we were like, yeah, we're happy with this.
So it's like an internal kind of judgment
Yeah.
that comes into account. Okay, cool. Do you have plan B?
Yeah, I'm planning on becoming a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why plan B?
Because plan A is not always achievable. It's not attainable. It depends what your plan A is as well.
Yeah.
It depends how far and like how far you want to take it. Like the position we're in at the minute is a privileged position compared to some people anyway. And then like people above us and above them, and like it, you can like again with the rainbow, it just keeps going.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are planning on right now taking this on full time because we just don't make enough to support ourselves. I'm planning on going into research.
Okay.
I think I'm doing a master's next year. I think so.
Okay.
I'm just gonna see where that takes me. But I think we're just gonna persevere with.
Is that the same subject? Are you going to teach music or any related kind of subjects?
I'm going to teach primary school.
Okay.
I think.
For yourself, what subjects are you going to get your master?
Music industry.
Music industry. Okay, so it's still related then. How do you find collaborators?
We're quite privileged because we are in like a university that has the facilities and that has the degrees. So there's like a tech course. And a load of people that we know how to produce and know how to record and mix and master. We don't have clue.
No.
Okay.
So we outsource that. But we know a lot of people, and it's just sort of like a relationship that you build up with people.
So it's mainly within the university?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite good because in a way they need us and we need them. With like, obviously they need music to produce, but we need someone to produce it.
Yeah.
So it would be good to have all those skills on our own, but I think with the little community we've got, it like lets us find people.
It's one of the massive advantages of
Yeah.
being in uni. What are some challenges that you had in your musical journey?
I'd say people taking us seriously at the start in a way.
Which I think is always going to happen because there's such a saturation of bands, especially in Liverpool, because there's so many universities, so many students of the same age, and so many people trying to make bands. It's such a musical city. So it's like, are you just playing music or are you a band?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
I think getting music out there definitely helps. It definitely helps with relationships with promoters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We, after even the first single was released, we got offered a lot more gigs. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they sort of have a tangible thing to say, right, this is what this band sounds like.
And they're more serious about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
100%. Do you think talent exists or it's purely work ethic?
That's hard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think it's a mix, isn't it?
I think it's definitely a mix. I think that you can have sort of a natural talent, but unless you work at it, it's not going to get anywhere. And I think that you can be, sort of born without any musical ability, but you can work towards having the skill.
Let's just say I started playing piano a year ago. Can I call myself a piano player? So what standard should I go up to that I can call myself a drum player or a singer-songwriter?
I think it's passion, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's sort of this big, not issue, but there's sort of this big thing about the prosumer at the moment. You produce things and you consume things, and with the accessibility of especially production software.
Yeah.
You can just get it on your laptop at home. You just need to have the passion, and then you can call yourself whatever. And I have a bit of a problem with labels because I think that whatever you feel is what you are.
Yeah, I think it can definitely become almost classist to say that someone needs to be a certain level to call themselves something, especially, and with uni, that again, the idea of classism and stuff, because there's always levels to what people have access to. with some universities, you have to have a grade 8 to get in, full stop. And to get a grade 8, you obviously have to train, you have to do the exams to get to that level.
You've got to have lessons and stuff, which not everyone can have access to.
Yeah.
Like an hour now costs about 30 quid. If it cost that much when I was younger, I don't think I would have had access to lessons. But you need the passion, you need the drive, and you need to just use what you can. You know, there's tutorials on YouTube and stuff. If you follow that and you have the drive to become a musician, then you can call yourself a musician. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
As you said, I think mainly you can define who you are. You know, if I, going back to the example that I made about myself, if I started playing piano for a year and I was only practicing 1 day a week, I'm probably a crappy piano player, you know, and I am the only one who can define what kind of it. I am a piano player, but what kind of a piano player am I? Am I really good at it, or am I just playing around as a hobby or something like that? In this day and era, do you think it's easy to make it in the music industry, to be signed to a label, or to be an independent artist?
Well, we currently manage ourselves, but there are like so many independent labels that I think if they were
We'd love to go.
Yeah. If they were like, do you want to work for us? We'd be like, yes. Yeah, like Polydor and like all of those. That's a Liverpool-based label.
I really don't know. I'm kind of writing about this in my dissertation.
Alright.
So I could talk at length. But labels now offer different things to labels have done in the past, because there's this sort of, I'm going to put it in quotes, accessibility to music that there wasn't before. You know, you can get software on your laptop, you can record with your phone speaker if needed, but getting through the sound, because there's so many bands and so many artists, I think that labels do help benefit in that area, like push through all of the other people that are out there.
So if you weren't a musician, who would you be?
I think I'd be an interior designer.
Okay.
If I was good at art, then I think that's probably the path that I would have taken. I played
It's quite
a lot of
related,
Sims.
creative.
Yeah, creative.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Sims as a child, so I've really liked making the houses and stuff.
What about yourself?
Maybe I'd go into ceramics.
Okay.
So it's the design, you mean? Like
Design,
interior
yeah.
design, okay.
We could have started
Collaborated together.
I think I've initiated something here.
Yeah, so I think I'd have gone into ceramics and like pottery painting and stuff. Yeah. And then I'd have sold it to Gracia.
And then I would have put it in my creation.
Sounds good. Do I get a cut? Is there anything in the music industry that you wish it was different?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The treatment of women.
The treatment of women.
In particular.
Yeah.
I want to know, what is it exactly that you experienced yourself, or you've observed, that you would say like these are the things that are different between like the men, women, these are being treated differently?
I think one thing, I think there's pros and cons you can say. Because we are an all-female band, we get help from female-centred promoters and companies. For example, Bitch Palace and Where Are the Girl bands have been really central to our progression as a female band. Yeah. Because they provide opportunities for specifically sort of female musicians and artists. But they only exist because of the omission of females in the industry as a whole. I don't know if you've seen the stats on like festival lineups, but the amount of male to female artists and bands that are on festivals is just insane.
Is the male ratio higher?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it?
so much higher.
Okay.
And in terms of like producers and stuff, I think
It's even worse.
I think 0.5% of producers are female.
I know that.
Yeah, it's
it's
mad. Yeah.
It's just, you have to push against it, because it is a male-dominated industry, as are quite a lot of industries, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think that is definitely a challenge.
I'm quite a neutral person,
Mm.
and I look at things with blank mind rather than just have some kind of prejudgment. I think some part of it obviously comes from me showing interest to something. I would assume, I don't know, I don't have the statistics to be able to back it up from my own kind of experience. I would say male show more interests to producing.
Mhm.
I haven't seen. I have a few female producers who are a friend of mine, but females show less kind of interest
Yeah.
toward
Yeah.
I think that's
producing, and
again,
same as like
drums.
drums as well. To be fair,
I think that's again. Well, there's a big focus on sort of women in science, tech, and maths, isn't there? Engineering and maths, because it's just not as accessible to women. Even looking at sort of kids' toys, the things marketed at girls will often be housewife type things. Like dolls, kitchens, and the things that are marketed at boys will be like science kits. So right from being a child, women have kind of subconsciously learned that science, tech, engineering and maths isn't where they belong. So I think the reason that less women want to be producers or even like musicians, drummers, is because they're discouraged.
Less accessibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's even a case of less women wanting to. I think it's
they're kind of
they don't feel able to just because of like how the industry has been set up from like the get-go. I don't think that like women don't want to be producers, but there's a society at our uni, women in music and tech, and it helps these girls who like feel like they can't do it because they've been set up in life to believe that they can't, and it like helps them to hopefully get on the same level as their male counterparts in a way.
Definitely. Yeah. I definitely felt discouraged to do technology, even though when I was 13 I wanted to be a sound engineer. I then thought, I can't do that. There wasn't like a reason why, but I think reflecting on it, it was because it was scary to enter such a male-dominated area. Even in my first year, there was a module called Introduction to Sound and Technology. I think it was pre-class of about 20, and 2 of us were female.
But there's another aspect of it. Obviously, that's just my perspective. That if I am the one who's stepping into a new industry, into a new path, regardless of what that path is gonna be, whether I'm a female or a male, I'm gonna feel it. It's gonna go really hard on me, whether I'm a female or a male. In this case, it happens to be obviously, for example, when you make an example of yourself following a path of being a drummer, obviously because I don't know what's the reason behind it, how it happened, but because you happen to be one of the few, one of the rare, or how I want to call it, I don't want to offend anyone, drum players, it's harder to get into it, but it does not mean that you can't do it. I think it hasn't really got to do with you can or you can't. I think it's more got to do with if I really want to do it now, if I really want to do it or not. Obviously, accessibility comes really into it. The more accessible it is, I would be more encouraged. But I think still some part of it, from my perspective, that because I felt it myself, I was doing a lot of things in life that I felt left out. But that wasn't really because nobody was letting me in. Obviously, some industries are a bit like so-called tighter to get into and harder to do them. But I think it's just 100% me and me and me to say to myself that this is what I want to do, and I want to really want to do it.
Yeah.
Regardless of if there is like any other person who's done it before or not, I don't really care. I want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my perspective, though.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
definitely.
I think that's how it should definitely be.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's, I think, there's like almost a glass. Well, there's a glass ceiling in a way
Mm.
where if you're not like a white straight male,
Mm.
it's harder. Like there's racial, sex. There's so many different
Homophobia.
avenues
sorts.
which make it harder. I guess
Mm.
not just being female, but like there's so
All
many different
kinds
ways
of,
which
yeah.
make it harder
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get into
sure,
the industry.
sure.
I guess.
Sure. So, obviously, as a human being, we go through different periods of time which we experience different emotions. Sometimes we feel depressed. How do you deal with them?
Right,
What do you do?
music.
Right, music.
Yeah.
It's the best treatment.
You
Is
literally.
I am one to get on the drums if I'm feeling frustrated. It's a
Okay.
good, you know.
I think
That's
that's one of the
what
beauty and joy
Mm.
of being a musician, that you
Yeah.
can just, it's a kind of a escapism
Yeah, definitely.
as well, that you can just, for example, get on a drum or start singing or writing a song to just get it out of your system and just take yourself mentally to some other place.
Yeah.
But do you do any kind of other exercises, meditation or cold showers or stuff like that?
I meditate.
Do you?
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
try to start off every morning with, you know, just 10 minutes of sort of relaxing because I'm an easily stressed person.
Okay.
So it's really important to take some time for yourself,
Mhm.
and I think just breathe through it and prepare yourself for whatever's going to happen in your day.
Mm.
I think that is really important.
If you want to make a prediction of what's going to happen to the music industry and how we're going to consume music in the next 10 to 20 years, what would you say?
Don't look at me. I've thought about this a lot. And
Have
I've
you?
not got any
Have you?
closer to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
It's something that really is interesting, isn't it?
Did you know that on Spotify,
Yeah.
curated playlists, this is bringing AI into the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When, you know, like there's like curated playlists by
Okay.
Spotify,
Mhm.
sometimes they add music which has been generated by AI based off of
That's interesting.
music. that's
Generated
kind
by
of-
AI.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Taking the
Spotify don't
human
have to
element out of
pay artists; they pay themselves by the AI music they've produced.
Wow.
So
I didn't
Wow.
know
Do you
that.
see that as a positive thing? Or
No.
Definitely
Definitely
not.
not.
That scares me.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
think
not.
for me, music is intrinsically human, and the thought that it could be taken over by computers is terrifying. I know it's a really split discussion, but it does kind of scare me, to be honest.
yeah, it's a way a lot of people like express their soul and like what's going on inside. So for that to be then made by something that
Yeah.
doesn't have a soul,
Hmm.
it's a bit, yeah.
I think that story behind it, that connection between you and the artist or the band in this case, is very important.
No, it's interesting because on the one hand, loads of people can become artists now because there's more sort of there's an easier way to market yourselves through social media. There's an easier way to record yourselves through using your laptop. There's an easier way to make music again through using your laptop. You don't even have to learn an instrument. Like if you're a rapper, for example, you make a production track on your MIDI keyboard and you sing and you sort of there. But on the other hand, there's a rise in AI music. So it's like the humans and the computers battling against each other. I don't know who will win.
3 things that you want to promise yourself when you walk out of here today. If it's a long-term kind of goal, you want to promise yourself that you start doing it. But if it's a short-term goal, you want to say, okay, I want to do it within the next few weeks. What would that be?
Long term, persevere. I think even if it's making you no money, just persevere. That's what I want for us. I want us to kind of keep going because it's something that we enjoy. It's an outlet.
It's rewarding as well.
It's
At the
really
end of the day,
rewarding.
like
I
when we
think-
walk off the stage, it's like
Yeah.
the endorphins you get from
Yeah.
making music. It's crazy.
I agree.
Mm.
The feeling is just something you can't really compare it to something
Yeah.
else. Yeah, I agree.
Get as much music that we're as proud of as possible out there, and do it for us.
Yeah.
If we're happy with it. So, really, that matters.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember why you started, I guess.
No,
And that's-
100%.
Yeah.
So a few things that, I'm not going to say 3 things now. Few things that you are grateful for in life.
My mum.
Grateful for mine too.
Reese's mum and Katie's mum.
Everyone's mums.
Everyone's
Bringing
all
us
so
thinking-
together.
Thanks, mums.
Okay.
The privilege to be at university,
Yeah.
I think, because it so easily couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
We both come from low-income families,
Yeah.
and without the support of our parents,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be doing what we do.
Yeah.
Thalia's Grace.
Yes.
Last words.
Look out for some new
music.
I love that.
Yeah. Love you.
I love that. Everybody, I'm gonna put all the links to the social media down in the description. Make sure you go down there, click on them, and give them a follow. Make sure you go down and click on the music that I'm gonna put there. Go listen to them and stream their music. And comment down below. Let me know what you think. Guys, thanks very much for coming. This is what we do at the end of the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you. Thanks very much. Have a very good day, guys.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having us.
Thank you.